It's The List and your boy with Jimmy Van and Shawn Ross Sapp.
With Jimmy and Shawn, sell pills for your dong. Make a fantastic song. Make a fantastic song.
No. I can't believe I've spoken to you every Wednesday 140 times on camera. There's been a couple here and there, yeah, but I have spoken to you 140 times on a Wednesday.
Oh shit. Shawn, your audio's not coming through.
Whose audio is not coming through? Shawn's audio is not coming through?
Yeah, why is that not coming through?
Come on, Brady. Man, is Melissa sitting here? She's sitting in a corner somewhere. Yep, Melissa is somehow sabotaging Brady.
How did this happen?
He can't figure out what's going on. What? Now, nobody could hear what you just said. Somebody said, Shawn, have my wife's babies?
Yeah, in the live chat.
Somebody wants their child to look like Shawn Ross Sapp, to come out of the womb.
Well, of course. It's because I'm super tall.
Okay,
I'm
it's
real
coming.
tall.
It's coming through now.
Is it working now?
Yeah, I see it. The levels are going. I don't know why it was like.
Okay, what's up, you guys?
All right.
Shawn Ross Sapp, managing editor, Fightful.com, FightfulWrestling.com. Just lots of stuff going on at Fightful. Me and Jimmy already shot the shit.
Yeah,
about how long we've done this show, but
yeah. I have two things I want to mention before we tackle the wrestling news.
Okay.
The first thing is I have a surprise today. If anybody missed it on Twitter, I did a little tease. I have a surprise today that I'm going to reveal to the viewers of Fightful.com or of the Listening Boy, as well as the Shawn Ross Sapp. At the end of the broadcast, I'm going to reveal that surprise. So if you're watching live, you got to wait for the end of the show. If you're watching later on YouTube, you can just do the little whoosh thing if you want and go to the end of the show and see that. That's number one. Number two, Shawn, I want to ask you a question. I have noticed a lot of people lately on YouTube and on Twitter referencing you cutting your hair. And one guy even suggested that I book Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And my question is, where did this come from all of a sudden?
Okay, big thanks to my videographer from StarCast for trying to get me literally butchered. Because I don't know if you've seen WrestleMania 3. There ain't anybody I want cutting my hair less than Brutus Beefcake.
They were having a big problem that night with the shearers. Yeah, they were having a big problem that night.
So I started to get a bunch of messages after last week's show. And admittedly, like, I would like to say that I don't understand what people are talking about, but people were like, oh, I didn't realize your hair was that long. And I didn't realize my hair was as long as it was until there was like the side view of the hair going down my back. And I was like, all right, yeah, I guess I can see that. But no, I had somebody offering me like $500 on the Raw show. And I was like, no, I think I'm going to pass on that, Lonnie.
So somebody asked me if I would like pony up the dough to get you to cut your hair. And what I said was, why don't we do a GoFundMe? And then I asked, what's the amount? Like, what would the target be? And I guess this is a Shawn Ross Sapp question. What would the target be in order to successfully do a GoFundMe and have you cut your hair live on the air? And just for shits and giggles, I'll send Brutus Beefcake to you in Kentucky.
No, we ain't doing that.
Just for fun?
We ain't doing that, man.
No?
He got caught with coke at a Subway once. We ain't doing that. He ain't coming to my house.
Did I tell you my Brutus Beefcake story?
No.
Okay, we're not going to talk about it on the air today. I'll tell you off the air.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
I don't know.
Air.
I once joked 15,000, but it definitely wouldn't be anywhere near that. I had a promoter in Ohio offer me $200 one time. That was a funny one. I don't know what they would, if they would have had me like lose a match or something, like what would have happened there.
Yeah.
But It ain't $200. That'll tell you.
So what's the magic number, considering that you grew it out in the first place for cancer? So we shouldn't make this about you profiting.
Yeah.
But what would the magic number be? And would you donate that amount, or would you like maybe do a 50-50 split or something? Like, have you thought about that?
I'd do a split for sure. For sure.
So what's the magic number?
How much were you going to pay Russo and Cornette?
$10,000 each.
Woo, boy!
But that's different because we'd actually make money on that.
Well, I would make money on this.
Exactly. But in the Cornette situation, I would actually make money because we'd film it and turn it into a thing, you know?
I'm not sure that I want to cut my hair, Jimmy.
Really?
Not sure. It's looking awful pretty. It's awful pretty. I've learned some things. Like, I thought you like cut it up like here. No, that's not the case. You got to cut it like down here where the ponytail starts. Like, I've learned so much over the last couple of years. I mean, I've been growing this hair for 2.5 years now.
I know, you look like a different guy from the guy I hired.
I know, I'm beautiful. I'm so tall too.
You look like you got lost on an island and nobody found you for like 3 years.
Well, aren't you glad that you did?
All right, let's get on with the wrestling news. Yeah. Let's get on with the wrestling news. And Shawn already alluded to this. Next week, the Wrestling War returns. And I feel bad for like devout wrestling fans that want to watch every minute of every piece of wrestling, because holy shit, Shawn. So as of next week, Monday night, you have the season premiere of Raw next week. Then on Tuesday, Impact starts on Access. It's not going to be their weekly show. They're going to be airing pay-per-views from 2019 first. But starting next week, they're doing that. Wednesday, you've got NXT head-to-head with AEW, which is going to be fun. Thursday, they're going to move NXT UK to Thursdays at 3 o'clock Eastern time. That's as effective next week. And then Fridays, SmackDown moves to Fox. Then there's still like Ring of Honor and syndication, because I saw you post this. Ring of Honor and syndication, MLW, Women of Wrestling. So much shit, Shawn. New Japan still on Access. So who can watch this much stuff, Shawn?
Nobody can, but
No.
the benefit is if you want something to watch, if you want to like some wrestling, there's something there for you.
There is.
And we're not even talking Total Divas, Ms. and Mrs., stuff like that.
Yep.
All the digital content that's out there. NWA are doing tapings like next weekend.
Yep. Now, I want to get to some breaking news, but first I just want to note, and I think our Canadian viewers already know this, but SmackDown is going to be airing live on Sportsnet on Friday nights. I had wondered about that, and I even wondered if they're going to simulcast with Fox up here, but from what I've heard, it's going to air live on Sportsnet, and if anything, Fox will show the Sportsnet feed in Canada. So that's going to happen. There was breaking news. We're doing this on September 25th. ITV, which is the free-to-air network in the UK, they posted this on their ITV Wrestling Twitter today. Brady, put up that screenshot from ITV. It's a two-parter, and this is the first part. Announcement: ITV is to show brand new weekly wrestling show, AEW Dynamite, on free-to-air television next month. The run will start full 2-hour show on ITV4. Here's where it gets a little convoluted. On Sunday the 6th at 8:20 a.m., followed by a 1-hour highlights program on ITV on Monday the 7th at 11:45 p.m. Put up the second one from ITV. Shows will run sequentially leading up to pay-per-view events, including before the November 9 Full Gear pay-per-view, blah, blah, blah. As you can imagine, UK fans were pretty pissed about this, Shawn, knowing that they're going to have to wait 4 full days after the live broadcast and then watch it at 8:20 a.m. on a Sunday. Now, Tony Khan, give him credit. He saw the backlash, and he immediately posted this on his Twitter. Put up Tony Khan's tweet, if you have it.
Yeah, it's up. Yeah, or no, it's not up yet. I was looking at the other screen.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Brady to put it up.
We can just quote him. My God, it ain't hard to talk.
There it is. He said, "We'll work together to ensure there will always be a free-to-air broadcast of the most recent episode before pay-per-views. We'll soon be announcing a live viewing solution in many other countries with great AEW fans." Now, for me personally, when I look at that and I see live viewing solution internationally, first thing I think of is streaming service.
Fight, probably.
maybe fight. And now it should be noted that several UK fans responded to Tony Khan, and they all basically had the same theme, which was, I hope you don't have to pay for it. Because no, I don't know if they're maybe getting a little too greedy, some of these UK fans, but because IT4 is a free to air station,
Fight just made an announcement a few minutes ago about it,
that they're going to air it live.
That there is, I mean, I haven't read the announcement, I just got the word.
Okay,
but AEW's weekly show Dynamite is coming to Fight TV. Fight is also introducing AEW Plus, a subscription service that will allow you to see every weekly show for $4.99 a month. I don't know if it will be a Wednesday 8 p.m. Eastern
live
broadcast for $4.99 a month.
There you go. So it will be a paid service. So I don't know if British fans are going to be too keen on that, but I'll tell you this: as a Canadian, because they have not yet announced their Canadian television deal, people still think it's going to be TSN, which makes perfect sense to me, but they haven't announced it yet. So as a Canadian, at least I have an option. I can understand UK fans being upset because AEW for months has teased a television deal on ITV4, only now to say, psych, it's going to come out 4 days later. But if you want to watch it live, pay $4.99 a month. I can understand them being upset about that. But it is what it is, I guess. So next week.
That was a big reason. Like when we launched Fightful Select, I was adamant to you. I was like, hey, I don't want to put anything that we've had for free behind that paywall. I don't want to make people think that we lured them in to all these shows just to switch them over there. That's why we have completely different content behind there, like Q&As and other show reviews and stuff like that. So I could kind of understand people being a little bit upset about that too.
I can, and it's funny because when you think about BT Sport, WWE is going to be moving from Sky to BT Sport effective January. And I saw that there was a little bit of negative backlash to that because BT Sport is a paid service. And a lot of people thought, I'm not going to pay for BT Sport specifically just to get WWE programming, but at least Raw and SmackDown are going to air live on BT Sport. Whereas it's going to be on a 4-day delay on ITV4, and if you want it live, you got to pay for it. So I guess it's almost the similar situation. I'm assuming BT Sport probably costs more than $4.99 a month. But otherwise, it's a similar situation, but I guess it is what it is. Let's talk about the Impact thing. And I already kind of mentioned it. So starting next Tuesday, they're going to begin airing pay-per-view events from 2019 every week. Then on October 22nd, they're going to air a preview show. And then starting October 29th, they're going to air their weekly show Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. Smart move for Impact Wrestling. I think that was the most logical night. Obviously, AEW wanted to do Tuesday night. They couldn't do it because of NBA coverage on TNT. Tuesday's the way to go. There's going to be some fans, I think, that still might be looking for SmackDown on Tuesdays. So I think that's a smart move for them. Now, the only caveat to this, and I actually wasn't aware of this until I read Bixenspan's article, I didn't know that Access TV does not subscribe to Nielsen.
Yes, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. And so what that means is we're never going to really know the Impact ratings on Access TV aside from what they announce. And, pro wrestling, what they announce does not necessarily mean anything, Sean. But we're not going to have the Nielsen ratings on Impact. So that's always going to be a little bit of a wrench when you're trying to determine the comparables between all the different companies.
That's the thing. It's been hard to decipher those anyway, just based on what Access has provided for New Japan. But also, they don't have a lot of ads on their channel partly for that reason. They don't have Nielsen. They have, I think, some other service which is supposed to be more accurate, actually. But yeah, I would. This is me freestyling. This is me speculating. I would assume that at some point that might change because I can't imagine Anthem wanting to just run Sammy Hagar concert commercials that are going to for a show that it's going to be on their own network all the time. I watch New Japan and I see that 4 times in an hour, and that's not an exaggeration.
Yep.
You'll see the same concert commercial 4 times in an hour.
Did you ever watch the Crackle app?
Yes, I did. I watched Joe Dirt 2 on that app.
Okay, of course you did.
That's how it was distributed.
So I watched Jerry Seinfeld's show that's on Netflix now, comedians driving cars, having coffee.
Yeah.
That started on Crackle, and so I would watch Crackle for that, and it was the same thing. You would see the same exact commercial back to back to back to back during breaks on the Seinfeld show. So it's kind of the same thing. I think that it will be different unless, because, of the deal with Steve Harvey, I question if it's going to be, okay, here's a game show hosted by Steve Harvey. Here's an hour of Impact. Here's another game show hosted by Steve Harvey. Here's Women of Wrestling, if they keep it. Here's another game show hosted by Steve Harvey. So I don't know.
But how does the cycle, just never, I would imagine Impact gets better viewership than Women of Wrestling. So what are they doing? Are they just cycling through the content? How are they getting paid outside of maybe the carriage?
That's it.
That's
well, they're going to go for sponsors. I think
they gotta get sponsors.
Oh yeah, they're going to try to ramp it up and try to get actual advertisers for sure.
Yeah.
But carriage fees, that's how ESPN made a lot of their money before cord cutters started happening.
The interview was another classic on Crackle, Jimmy, when they couldn't put it in theaters because they were afraid that the country was going to get nuked. Do you remember that? The Seth Rogen, James Franco joint?
That was on Crackle?
They put that on Crackle.
Really? Really?
Only reason. And I think a couple weeks ago I watched a movie that was only available on Crackle, free streaming on there as well.
Really?
We have some super chats. Rob says, Jimmy, would you ever promote an indie wrestling show again?
No.
I don't blame you.
No.
I don't blame you. Rob Wilkins says, just curious. That was me with the Barber reference.
Oh, was that? Okay.
No, there were multiple. There were multiple things because I know that Chief put that out there too. And he says, any word on what's going on with Buddy Murphy? He's just not on the show. I don't think. I don't know of anything that's going on. I can find out.
He's actually on my list today. We're going to talk about it.
Okay. Eric Brady says that Shawn Ross Sapp is a bigger draw than Russo and Cornette because he's very tall. That is true. I am exceptionally tall. Did you know that?
I need this gimmick to end, but keep going.
Why?
I'm just continue.
Listen, my name is Shawn Ross Sapp, and I am several feet tall.
All right, any more?
Yeah, and you can't reach my hat.
It's cute. Yeah, it's good.
You like that, right?
Yeah, it's cute. Can I keep going with the list now, or do you have more super chats?
You act like it's some inconvenience that people are giving us money.
No, I just want to change the subject from the tall shit.
You can go. What is that supposed to mean?
All right, back to the list. Back to the list. So I'm going to
hit you with a big boot followed by a choke slam, and you won't be laughing.
Oh, are you really? Okay. I want to talk about the WWE Fox deal. Now, I know you can relate to me on this, Shawn, and I know a lot of our viewers can relate too. When I was growing up as a wrestling fan, one thing that I had to get accustomed to was how the mainstream media was going to be so ignorant and so uninformed and so uneducated about pro wrestling. And when I was a kid, I was a big fan of Arsenio Hall. And I was a big fan of Regis Philbin, in part because they were respectful of pro wrestling. And Arsenio Hall had everybody on his show, and he knew about them. You know what I mean? He knew what was going on about them. And Regis Philbin used to have everybody on their morning show as well. And I used to like those guys because of the fact that here's some mainstream media members that actually are respectful of pro wrestling. Most of the time you would get these local news anchors and stuff that didn't know anything about it, and they would make all these tongue-in-cheek comments about it. And as a wrestling fan, for me, that would be very irritating. Here we are now in this era where WWE is going to be moving SmackDown to Fox starting next Friday, October 4, and we're already starting to see the signs of this ignorance. In 2019, it still exists, even though you think that information is at people's fingertips now, and it would only take 5 minutes to learn about wrestling and to learn about the physical toll it takes on their bodies, to learn about the athleticism that's involved, to learn about the sacrifice on their time and with their bodies. But you're getting this shit still. And I want to talk about a couple of examples that just came up. Last Thursday, September 19, Braun Strowman appeared in the broadcast booth during a Major League Baseball game on Fox. And Keith Olbermann, who's an anchor for ESPN, posted this on Twitter. Put up Keith Olbermann's thing. He said, "You guys are kidding, right?" And then he put a screen of Braun in the broadcast booth. Fortunately, a ton of guys came to Braun Strowman's defense and to WWE's defense, and they kind of shit on Keith Olbermann, as they should. Then there was another one this past weekend. Rey Mysterio was at the Minnesota Vikings NFL game. And obviously he was there as an invited guest because he wore his mask and because they showed him on television with his name on the screen. So clearly he was there as an invited guest to promote the Fox WWE deal. The Fox broadcaster said something when Rey was on screen. I've got a little screen here that I gave to Brady. Can you put that one up?
It's a video, right?
Put up the video.
Yeah.
And Rey, he's here. Look at him. He's in his mask. It's like a luchador. This is like a Nacho Libre.
Again, this is 2019, Shawn. And Fox, who is the employer, maybe not of Olbermann, but he's the employer of that broadcaster, is putting up over $200 million a year for the rights to WWE. So you would think that these people would, number one, be a little more respectful, and number two, maybe take a few minutes and do a little bit of research. You could even Google wrestling and learn something in a couple of minutes. Instead, they come off like goofs, making tongue-in-cheek comments like referencing Rey Mysterio being Nacho Libre. Again, as a wrestling fan growing up, I've always dealt with this, and I'm kind of accustomed to it. But it's still unfortunate to me in 2019 that we gotta watch this ignorant shit. What are your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts. One, Keith Olbermann was in a goddamn WWF Sports Center commercial 15 years ago with King Kong Bundy, Diesel, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Paul Bearer, all those people. You kidding me, Olbermann? All right. Go back to posting the pictures of the dogs that need adopted. That's good stuff. That's what you should do.
I didn't know he does that. Does he do that?
Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Gets a lot of dogs adopted that need to be adopted.
That's cool.
Nacho Libre was 13 years ago. 13 years ago. And I had somebody say, oh, well, it's not their job to do this. It's not their job to promote WWE. Yeah, it is.
You work for the company.
That's why they're doing the goddamn read.
Yeah.
If Jimmy hits me up tomorrow and says, all right, on the Friday SmackDown show, I need you to do a read or promote some of the other digital properties on the network. Or how about this? If Jimmy, my boss, wants me to promote a digital property that has nothing to do with us, that's what I do. That's what these people are doing. That's a part of the broadcast agreement that NFL and Fox have signed with. That's a part of the broadcaster's deal. Right. It's a part of all of it. Then, like we talked about how they don't come prepared and all that. You got the Alex Rodriguez interview where he called Triple H Dan and all that stuff.
Orange and red. Oh, it's terrible.
We are a channel under 20,000 subscriptions. When I was at Midtown last month, there were people saying, do you want to interview this guy? And I said, yes, I would love to, but you need to give me about 20 minutes. Let me do my research before I do it. Send him up to the office after that. We'll do that interview. Show some respect to the people that you're interviewing. Don't go in there blind.
I agree.
Could I go through and bullshit somebody and not know anything? Of course I could. But is that what you want to do? No. Furthermore, why didn't they edit that out of the Triple H thing? Why? Like so much of that. Like when I watched that A-Rod thing, he's like he asked like he was asking a real. He acted like he was asking a real hard-hitting question.
Yeah.
Who's better, Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair?
Yeah.
I was like,
I was telling a buddy about that the other day, and Alex Rodriguez was embarrassing in that interview because it was very. And did you notice at the end of the interview, he basically he more or less said, "Okay, Hunter and Stephanie, time for you guys to fuck off because I got to go to the upfronts." Did you catch that?
Yeah.
At the end of it, he's like, "Okay, speaking of the upfronts," he was basically saying, "Fuck off," because I want to go to the upfronts. He was an embarrassment. It was very obvious that he walked into the room and somebody handed him a sheet of paper with research with research on it, and he spent the whole interview looking at it like this. You know? He was looking at it like this, and then, like you said, it'd be his turn for a question, and he would look at Stephanie, and you're thinking, "Oh, this is going to be a really good question because he's really focused on this research." And then he literally did. He looks at Stephanie, goes, "Who's better, Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness, man."
The guy, just based on baseball salaries alone, made over $441 million. So what does he care?
Good for him. No, I mean, I respect that he's trying to take that money and become an entrepreneur. I respect that. But at least do a little bit of research about your subject instead of walking in blind.
If I get $441 million, I'm not going to be an entrepreneur.
I mean, he didn't net $441 million.
No, that's okay. That's his salary, and that's before endorsements.
Yeah,
that's before bonus. That's before all that, and any additional money that he's made.
Yeah, good for him.
Tommy Walk says, like comparing the movie Waterboy to the 49ers. I don't know what that means. Tim Traver said, I only grew my hair out for 6 months. Got a long way to go. When I do cut my hair, I'll do a video on why, and I'm going to try to encourage some more people to do it. That makes me happy. People that tell me that they're growing out their hair for that reason too, and that this had a part to do with it. That's awesome. That makes me happy. We'll talk more about the numbers later and the length and all that. But my God,
the length of your hair, right?
Well, you know.
Okay, let's move on.
Length is important, Jimmy.
All right.
But how I figured we'd talk more about how my hair performs.
So back to the Fox WWE deal. So according to Ad Age, and you're going to see where I'm going with this point. According to Ad Age, Fox has cut deals so far with 20 sponsors for time buys on SmackDown, and they're going to go beyond the typical paid units. I think they're going to do product placement stuff, and they're going to do tie-ins. They announced that Progressive Insurance is going to be the presenting sponsor next week. So we'll see what that entails. And then they said that they've got key brands including Pizza Hut, Boost Mobile, Snickers, and Paramount. And there's a reason that I'm mentioning this.
Because we're going to see the Snickers camera zoom.
No. I want to talk about something Cody Rhodes said. And we've got the tweet. Brady, can you put up Cody Rhodes' tweet that I gave you earlier? Yeah. All right, so a fan asked Cody Rhodes, is this going to be PG? And Cody Rhodes responded and said TV 14. There's a reason I want to mention this, and I've talked about this before. I talked about it in the past with Jeff Jarrett when he returned to Impact Wrestling. It's very easy for a guy who is not spending a dime of his own money to make comments like that. Cody Rhodes is not going to have any say. And if TNT executives decide we have to do this PG because of sponsors, if Tony Khan decides we have to do this PG because of sponsors, they're going to be doing it PG. And so when I see things like Cody Rhodes, making like it's his decision, TV 14.
Why? How did he make it seem like it was his decision? He just answered a question.
He could have. If it was me, I would have said no. We're hoping for TV 14. We'll see.
Is he supposed to go? Daddy Khan says TV 14.
But
thank you, sire.
He always positions himself in interviews like he's the decision maker. He does it all the time. He talked about Jericho's contract, Shawn, in interviews. Sure. He always positions himself like he's a decision maker. But the fact of the matter is, Eric Bischoff used to try to do that with WCW. Vince Russo used to try to do that with WCW. And what happened? As soon as Turner executives got involved, then they would kind of, do a 180 and say, it's standards and practices. Jeff Jarrett went with Ed Nordholm all over the world saying, we have all these grandiose plans and we're going to go international and we're going to do stuff in the UK. It's easy to say that when it's not your money. And
it was less than a word of a tweet, though. It wasn't even a word.
It's one of many examples. It's one of many examples. There have been many examples when Cody Rhodes has acted like the boss, talking about contracts of other talent members, Shawn. He's done it many times. And so when I see stuff like that, it agitates me knowing it's really not going to be his decision. TNT's doing this on a rev split, right? They're doing it on a rev split. That means that if they don't get a Progressive Insurance, if they don't get a Pizza Hut, if they don't get a Boost Mobile, if they don't get a Snickers, if they don't have sponsors willing to come in unless they tow down the product, do you think that Tony Khan or Cody Rhodes or anybody's going to say, well, tough shit, we're not toning down the product? You think they're going to say that?
No, I don't think that at all. But he didn't say that. All he did was answer the question, hey, TV PG or TV 14.
I get it, but you understand my point. My point is he consistently talks like an owner. He consistently talks like the decision maker.
He does.
Right?
He does, but I think that's a lot of perception. I think that's I don't necessarily – I mean, I see what you mean, but I don't think that tweet is an example of it. I mean, if he went out and said – hey, you know what? We're TV 14, but if you want that TVMA dick, go to BlueChew.com and use the code Fightful. I'd understand your point.
That would have been actually a very interesting response.
If he went out there and said, if you want that rated R dong, go to BlueChew.com, use that code Fightful, I would get it. I would understand. That NC-17 penis at Blue Chew. And you know what? You talk about TV ratings, you're going to get 5 stars, 6 stars, 7 stars, wherever the hell you go when you use BlueChew.com. It's got the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. And that ain't making it onto a TV PG show or a TV 14 show because you'll be going at it all night. No hard out. Well, there'll be some hard ins and some hard outs on that program, if you know what I'm saying. But it's shipped straight to your door, discreet package. You don't have to go to the doctors. You do that all online. Blue Chew has approved doctors ready to prescribe this for you. You want to know what the qualifications are? Do you got a dick? If you do, you probably qualify for BlueChew.com code Fightful. And it's free. Use that code Fightful. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping. Like I said, the mailman's not going to know. That your doctor up the road's not going to know. Just that one online who's like, you know what? I'm ready to give this person their TVMA dick. And hey, if you're into that type of thing, maybe they'll give you their TVMA dick too. I don't know what these doctors do. BlueChew.com, code Fightful.
Do you say that women aren't qualified to get Blue Chew? Like maybe for their man or something?
Don't think that it works like that. It's a prescription, Jimmy. It's like, oh, hey, do you want to go to the doctor and get some Xanax for your friend? And it doesn't work like that with prescriptions.
Okay. Well, you mentioned ratings during that plug, and that was a perfect kind of unplanned segue on your part because I want to talk about ratings. Last week, NXT debuted on USA. They did 1.179 million viewers and a 0.43 rating in the 1849 demo. It was good for number 4 for the night on cable for USA. When you compare that to the week before, Shawn, which would have been the September 11 night of the week, USA didn't even show up until number 41 on September 11, and that was for an episode of Suits, and that episode of Suits did 965,000 viewers and a 0.15 in the 18 to 49 demo. So you think they're happy with NXT? Yeah, I think they're probably happy with NXT. I put together this little graphic that I want to show you. All of this comes from Showbuzz Daily because I wanted to do a comparison between NXT last week and WWE television last week. Brady, put up that little graphic. This is again from Showbuzz Daily. Now this is basically how they look at the breakdown. The very last column is the viewership.
Yes.
But as you can see, they always rank it based on the first column. Disregard the numbers on the far left. I should have gotten rid of that because that's based on what night. So forget that column. But they always rank it by the 18 to 49 demo, which is the first column in yellow there. And when you look at this, NXT, I mean, obviously the demo rating is lower because the viewership was lower. But when you look at the demos, they're pretty much right in line with Raw and SmackDown. In terms of men, 18 to 49 is the highest. Men and women, 25 to 54 does a pretty good rating. 50 plus, which is obviously always a concern to WWE, does a high rating. Look at the WWE Raw numbers in 50 plus, Shawn.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we always talk about how they're skewing older and how that's kind of an issue when 18 to 49 is your target, but WWE still does a really good number in that. 0.76 is a really solid number.
I still wonder how accurate that is because, I mean, older people are less likely to watch via other means.
Right, you're right. Like DVR
than
or whatever.
television. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But promising numbers, good numbers.
I think they're pretty good numbers, and I want to talk to you about, and again, I know we still have a week before the Wrestling War. What are your predictions for AEW's first show on TNT, and what are your predictions for SmackDown's first show on Fox next week?
I think SmackDown will see a big bump. I think we might actually see them hit 3 million on Friday with Brock and all that stuff and being on Fox, but that's just a shot in the dark. It's not hardly an educated view. NXT next week, I'm interested. I think that NXT's viewership head-to-head with AEW will either increase or decrease by 10 to 15%. I just don't know which. I don't know how the viewing habits these days. And I mean, that's not my area of expertise anyway. AEW, I think if they hit 1 million, they'd be good. I saw somebody saying like their Friday night 10 p.m. Thing did like 400,000. That was just something on Twitter. I don't know if I saw that right. But if that's the case, I would expect them to easily do 1 million. But I mean, that would be really great.
I agree with you. I think that AEW is going to do, I think, between 700,000 and 1 million. I saw some people, and this is one thing I think that we need to kind of, remind people about. I saw some comments on Twitter where people were predicting AEW was going to do 2 million plus. And I think people need to understand, even though they sold out those live events really quickly and everything, the people that bought those tickets and sold out those shows in 30 minutes or whatever it was, those are traveling fans from around the world.
Yes.
And people need to understand that. Now the AEW shows are not selling out instantly right now.
Correct.
Because the traveling fans aren't going to go to every show, meaning that you have to rely on your local market to sell a show. To me, the only thing that you can look at to gauge viewership is YouTube. Because you can't look at pay-per-view for, say, All Out or whatever, because those are international numbers for the most part on Fight TV or whatever apps. YouTube to me is the only gauge, and even that is difficult because I haven't seen a demographic breakdown for YouTube. But when you look at that, and it's free to air, and so I think, again, it's easier to compare YouTube than it is pay-per-view because it's free to air. I think 1 million is going to be a high mark for the first show.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good number. Like if they do 1 million, they're top 5 for the night.
Yeah.
So, but I think that if you know, because we've talked about how there's a lot of pro WWE people that shit on AEW. There's a lot of pro AEW people that shit on WWE. But you have to keep perspective. 1 million is a good number, and if you think
top 5 for a Rev Split show, I mean, they're covering production costs. But yeah,
it'd be good.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I don't have a segue for this. Here's Samoa Joe. Off. It's back. Okay, audio didn't work there. You all can listen to the interview, youtube.com/Fightful. Apologies to our audio listeners for the issues, but you have it. Free content.
Exactly.
Bitch some more. Why don't?
Exactly. And like Shawn said, it's on YouTube. It's on Fightful.com. And it's an interesting interview. Samoa Joe talks about how Vince McMahon didn't want him.
Straight up said Vince McMahon was vehemently against signing him.
Yeah. I want to ask you a couple of things about WWE television this week. The first is Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon. So next week for the debut of SmackDown on Fox, they're going to do a career versus career ladder match. Here's my question. Do you think there's any possibility Kevin Owens loses and either gets drafted to Raw or goes to NXT? Or do you think that this is going to be a reason to get Shane off television?
I think it could be both. And it's just, again, just my assumption, my speculation. I can see the positives and negatives to that. Shane McMahon on Fox, whether people like it or not, is a face familiar to people who watched 20 years ago that might not be watching today.
It's true.
Could they scale him back? Sure. But I don't think it's nearly as bad about Shane being all over the show as it once was. He's on like 1 or 2 segments. That's it. That's okay to me. Kevin Owens to NXT, that would be a big shot in the arm.
I think so too. I agree.
And I what would it hurt? He would probably love it, getting to stay in Florida.
Yeah.
Shit.
I think he would. Like, can you imagine Kevin Owens' Velveteen Dream?
Yeah.
I'd love to see that
Kevin
match. Sorry, you cut out. Say that again.
Kevin Owens and Adam Cole. Kevin Owens and Matt Riddle. Kevin Owens
that'd
and
be that'd be amazing.
Like matches that we've not seen in WWE. And when Kevin Owens was leaving NXT, there was a little bit of a different profile of wrestler there still. There was the kind that you could tell that WWE wanted to recreate in their own image type of thing. I mean, Finn Balor, he's not like super worker or anything, but had some good matches with Owens. I think Owens would fit right in with these people. He'd get to stay home more. And if they want him to go do weekend live events on the main roster, he still could. What the hell is keeping them from doing that?
You're right. I mean, he was fired, and yet he was doing the live events.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they could very easily do that. I agree. PW Insider reports that 205 Live is going to move to Fridays, with SmackDown moving to Fridays, and it's going to take place for the network prior to SmackDown. Why not?
Prior?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're doing it prior to SmackDown. That's what I read.
That would be good. That would be great.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Maybe look it up, but I thought that's what I read. But here's my question for you. We've talked about how they should quietly end 205 Live and merge it with NXT. Do you think that they're deciding to keep it going because they're just looking to keep network content?
Yes. Minutes watched. That's the important metric to them. That's what they always say. Minutes watched.
Minutes watched.
And I'll tell you what, there are sometimes when I look at our analytics, I'm like, how do we have that many minutes watched? It's because it's such a useless thing, except when you're wanting to throw out something fancy there. Honestly, I can tell you no advertiser has ever asked me how many minutes watched they have, how many minutes watched we have. They asked views, downloads, listens, social media numbers, stuff like that. They never have asked me minutes watched, and we go based on flat rates here. We don't like to do the affiliate gimmicks and all that. flat rates based on all that. I know things are much different in other businesses and things, but it's something that they like to throw out there because we can't track it, for one.
Yeah, but I think they did it as a spin because their metrics have been down across the board. Mm-hmm. Right, and because they have they have shareholders to answer to, so I think that they're out there. Like George Barrios is out there knowing that their popularity is eroded, knowing the numbers are down across the board. Oh no, things are good because we only care about minutes watched.
Yes,
bullshit, you know. But all right, now next week is going to be Raw's quote unquote season premiere, and I want to ask you two things about this. The first is Seth Rollins is going to defend the Universal title against Rey Mysterio. Rey won a fatal 5-way on Raw this week to earn the right. I understand the story with Rey, the story about how he was going to, thinking about giving it up and decided to give it another go, and now he won a big match and he's getting a title shot, and it's a feel-good story. I get all of that. Do you think this is the wrong time to do it? Because Seth Rollins is defending the title against Bray Wyatt at Hell in a Cell, and so I think the chances are slim and none that Rey Mysterio beats Seth Rollins because Seth's already waist deep in the story with Bray Wyatt. Do you think this is the wrong time to do it, or do you think no, it's still a good feel good story with Rey and whatever?
I think Rey could win the title and either lose it to Bray, or if because Nikita Krylov fan hit me up and he was like, "Is Rollins facing Bray no matter what?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He was like, "They made it seem like that, so." I don't doubt that they'll pull a bait and switch there and keep Rollins versus Bray, even if Rey wins the title. And I don't expect Rey to be a champion for any longer than a week or two anyway. I feel like some trickery is afoot here. And this, again, I got to say, my speculation, so some shitty website doesn't aggregate it. But, I could see them pulling a little bit of a switch here because of how we've talked about them backing or booking themselves into a corner with The Fiend.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rollins is going to retain, and I think they're going to go with the title match at Hell in a Cell. Brings me to my next point. So last weekend, they had live events in Calgary and in Edmonton on, I don't know if there's a Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, but they had live events in Alberta. And for the first time, they did Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins because obviously they want to get the match down and everything. I was a little bit, suspicious on how they would put the match together. Now, granted, a regular match and a Hell in a Cell match are different. But I thought they put the match together pretty well. I thought Bray looked really strong. For anybody that hasn't seen it, it's on YouTube. I put the link on our Twitter because who knows how long it'll be up. But the whole match, somebody actually filmed the entire match in Calgary, and they did a pretty damn good job filming it. And so you can see it there. Bray looked really strong. He took several curb stomps. He no-sold a bunch of them. I think it ended up going, was it a DQ because he wouldn't let the Mandible Claw go in the corner. So it ended up going to a DQ, and I thought they put it together pretty good. What'd you think?
I did too, and man, fortunately the number of people that see that is such a negligible percentage, so it doesn't really matter. They can do something different. All I gotta say is, man, I do not miss trying to sift through crowd cam footage from the '90s. How did people snuck VHS recorders in?
Yeah, they did.
They were not small.
No.
They were very big.
Like the Click reunion.
Yes, or
the guy had
the curtain call. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a VHS tape in the thing.
I just imagine, he had it up on his shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to hide that, man.
Nowadays, you can just go.
Yeah.
That.
I will say this, Sean. I will say this. Not that I'm going to question security at Madison Square Garden during the curtain call. I was at Game 5 of the NBA Finals in Toronto between the Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
And friends of mine were there too, and they were sitting a little higher up than me in the lower bowl. They told me during intermission. We went and grabbed a beer together. They told me during intermission that there were people in their section smoking, and I was like, "What? How did security not catch that?" And they said, "Well,
vaping or smoking?"
They were marijuana. They're smoking marijuana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
amazing.
and I thought to myself, where the hell was security? How did they let this
go?
go?
It's an NBA game, Jimmy. I love it.
Well, they said that they didn't see any security. So my point is, maybe Buddy during the curtain call, whenever the hell it was, 96, was able to basically be like this because there was no security around him. Yeah. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I could. I love it.
You think next week Bray Wyatt is going to take out Hulk Hogan and/or Ric Flair?
I hope so. I hope he takes out both of them.
Yeah.
Do the old
It sure sounds like that's the plan. It sounds like because when Hogan and Flair are already announced for the first SmackDown on Fox, because they're going to do the little reunion, they're already announced for that. Why would you waste that by having them on Raw unless you're going to feed them to Bray Wyatt? Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
I admittedly did not realize how many people he's put out with that mandible claw until the Firefly Funhouse, which, apologies for on the podcast Monday, guys. I said that there wasn't a Firefly Funhouse. There was. It was a very good one. Had all the pictures on the wall. I didn't realize. I mean, Angle and Balor and Foley and all these people.
Jerry Lawler, yep.
Yeah, tons of them. And I love that because when that happens to you, unless you're Braun or Seth, active members of the roster, you're gone. You're just gone. Yeah. And I love that.
I think it's a perfect move for him.
Yeah, I do too.
Perfect move, yeah. Okay, let's go to Stupid People, Brady.
Stupid people is what this segment's called. You might wonder why we do it. It's not about wrestling at all. Used to be WWE's weekly usage of stupid nicknames, which we did hoping they'd stop giving wrestlers lame names. But it didn't work, so we gave up. In the new segment, we came up with this stupid people. Stupid people, stupid people. Duh.
Okay, Shawn, this first one you might have heard of because it went viral and it's unbelievably ridiculous. It was reported by KOMO News Seattle on September 20. So there's an 11-year-old boy out of Bellingham, Washington. His name is Lucas Goodwin, and he goes to a school called Whatcom Middle School. All right?
By the way, our feed froze.
Did it?
Mm-hmm.
So no one can see this right now?
Nope.
Really? That was going on this week.
It's apparent. They said... a lot of people were saying reload, but yeah, frozen feed right now.
No one can see anything right now.
That's weird. On the.
Are we recording? Like, should I continue?
It's recording.
Okay, well then I'm going to continue, and then I guess we'll have to figure it out. All right?
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. So anyway, 11-year-old Lucas Goodwin out of Bellingham, Washington. He has autism and an autoimmune disorder, and he does best in a quiet place. All right. So his mother spoke to his teacher, and his teacher said, I have a solution for Lucas. Bring him on into school, and I have a solution. What do you think the solution was?
Oh, God, I don't want to speculate with that.
I hope Brady's able to grab this media. They set up his desk in the bathroom. Put up the picture. Look at this. They literally did this. They put his desk over a toilet, as you can see. And they also put a camping mat on the floor in case he wanted to take a nap on the bathroom floor. They did this. The teacher actually decided this was a good idea. So Lucas's mother pulled her son out of school, filed a complaint. A rep for the school said, quote, we have taken immediate steps to remove the desk depicted in the photo and ensure that this space is not used as a learning space.
Yeah, the desk, that's the problem. The desk was the problem. My wife is, as you know, is like finishing up her student teaching for special education, and she deals with some kids that are a lot easier to deal with than others. And I've been on a lot of ends of that. I've been a really good student. I've been a really bad student. And I'll like kind of tell her some things that make kids feel included, not included. She didn't go through that. She was a good student, model student all the way. I can tell you what doesn't help: isolating a kid like that with special needs. That is so fucking stupid.
Especially in a bathroom.
Yes.
And you know what's amazing? How many people have you come across in life, especially in important positions, and you ask yourself, how the hell did you get this job? You know what I mean? I've come across a lot of people like that. I've come across bankers and accountants and lawyers and people where I just think to myself, how did you get this job? Because you were a fucking moron.
Yes.
This teacher, and they didn't name the teacher, this teacher fits the bill. That decided to put an 11-year-old in the bathroom, put the desk over the toilet. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, just don't tell Melissa how we talk about her behind her back.
This next one was reported by KAIT8 out of Jonesboro, Arkansas on September 20th. So there's a 47-year-old man named Charles Lancaster.
Yes.
He decided to break into somebody's house early one morning. All right?
Boy.
The homeowner is an elderly gentleman. He was upstairs and he heard the commotion. He came downstairs and he found Mr. Lancaster making himself at home. He was fixing something to eat, just having a grand old time. The elderly gentleman told him to leave. And,
Yeah.
And Mr. Charles Lancaster ignored him. So the homeowner then pulled out a gun and pointed it at Mr. Lancaster. And Mr. Lancaster allegedly said, quote, "Give me the gun before you hurt yourself, old man." What happened next?
Oh, he shot. He died. He died.
He got shot. He got shot.
Did he die?
No, he did not die. Homeowner called police after he shot him. Officers showed up. Mr. Lancaster was across the street with a gunshot wound to the leg. He was taken to the hospital, treated for his injuries, and charged with residential burglary. Imagine someone points a gun at you and you basically say, "Bring it." When you
balls.
When you broke into their home, Shawn.
Some balls on that guy.
Unbelievable.
Rocking a set of plums, that fella.
I'm glad you said that because that segues to the SRS file, Shawn. Reported by ScienceDirect.com in their November 29 issue, which is volume 27, there is a 45-year-old man from the South Pacific, and he had to be put in ICU, he had to be given antibiotics, and eventually he had to undergo plastic surgery. Why, Shawn?
Stream is
He
back.
ironed his face.
He self-administered injections of petroleum jelly to the shaft of his penis in an attempt to make it bigger.
So Vaseline
In an attempt to make it bigger. And you know what happened, Shawn? It
worked.
It caused swelling and bleeding.
So it worked.
Well, then the skin started to rot.
Oh.
And then he developed gangrene, which is life-threatening. It was a life-threatening skin-eating infection called Fournier's gangrene. They had to cut away most of his scrotum. Then he had to undergo multiple skin grafts. He spent a month in the hospital. He survived. His penis is not any bigger. And that's what happened.
It's not worth it to play around.
It's not worth
with
it.
your pain like that.
It's not
Doing
worth it.
science projects on your dick is not worth it.
It's not worth it. It's not. I want to do a plug real quick. So after this, if you're a FightfulSelect.com subscriber, go to Fightful Select. We're going to do the List Goes On. And on the List Goes On, we're going to talk about WWE's inability to build baby faces. We're going to talk about Lacey Evans. We're going to talk about Orange Cassidy and some other stuff. So go to FightfulSelect.com afterwards, and you can get that. I want to admit something to you, Shawn.
Okay.
I had never heard of Kishin Liger until I saw the footage from last week. And last week, New Japan did a show called Destruction in Kobe. And Jushin Thunder Liger did a spot with Minoru Suzuki where he brought out Kishin Liger. I had never heard of Kishin Liger before. Apparently, he first brought out this character in 1996 when he wrestled the Great Muta. In that situation, Muta still won the match because I looked it up on YouTube. We have a photo from this past weekend's Destruction in Kobe show of Jushin Thunder Liger when he tore off the mask to reveal Kishin Liger. Put up that photo. Look at that, Shawn.
Awesome.
Doesn't that look amazing? Especially,
I love it.
especially like the way he contorted his face into a frown and everything.
Yeah.
Like, wow. You know what he looks like? And I know that you're not a Star Wars fan. He looks like Darth Vader when they took the mask off of him before he died.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like. I know he was going for the Joker.
I love it.
Man, I never heard of it. So when I looked up the Great Muta mask, they did the same spot with the Spike during the Great Muta match, where he ran at the Great Muta with the Spike. Muta moves. The Spike gets stuck in a table that they had propped up in the corner. He did the exact same thing with Minoru Suzuki last weekend. Interesting. How many times has he brought this character out? More than the two times?
A few, but I love it because, I mean, hey, somebody got people on my Q&A asking about, like, would you do Kishin Liger and The Fiend? I'm like, that sounds like a cool idea, like, for an interpromotional dream match is those two. But they're doing this because of the retirement tour that Liger is on. But man, I love it. But yeah, it's happened a couple times.
Okay.
There's a good New Japan article about the times that it came out. Like the first one, I think it was October '96.
The Great Muta one, right?
Yeah, and I think maybe 04, 06, and maybe a couple other times.
Okay. Very interesting. I had just never seen that before, and I thought it was cool seeing Jushin Thunder Liger rip off the mask like that. I think it was cool.
Yeah.
November 2nd at UFC 244. Anybody that's not a UFC fan, this is at Madison Square Garden. There's going to be a fight between Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. And they're going to fight over what they're calling the BMF title, basically the bad motherfucker title. And
I love it.
The UFC has announced that The Rock is going to be appearing at UFC 244, and he's going to present the belt.
Shit, he announced it himself, and they were just like, "Yeah, please."
Yeah, he said he wanted to be there. So he's going to present the belt to the winner. I have not heard a peep about The Rock being at the SmackDown debut on Fox next week, even though they're going to be at Staples Center in LA. Haven't heard a peep. Have you heard anything?
Nope.
Huh.
Nope. Not a thing. Haven't heard a thing yet. I don't know. I mean, here, you would think that they would announce that.
Yeah. No, maybe he's not going to be there, but you would think because it's Staples Center and because he coined the term SmackDown, you would think that he'd be there for that. But maybe not. Maybe not. I'm a little surprised. I thought he would be for sure.
Yeah, I did too, especially with the program that bears his name. I mean, he even did the, or at least the via satellite video. I mean, even for the 10th anniversary of SmackDown in 2009, he did like the video where he was in front of his belt case and all that stuff.
Yes.
And I remember back then that was like, whoa, okay, we haven't seen him in several years.
Yes.
So hopefully he does something. I think he should. I mean, it bears the name of the catchphrase that he started.
Yeah, that's exactly right. SmackDown Hotel. You know,
it's in the freaking dictionary because of him.
Yeah, and I've heard it used like in movies now, pop culture. You know. Okay, it's time for the surprise, Sean. Now, Shawn Ross Sapp is going to play dumb to this. All right, Shawn Ross Sapp is going to pretend that he has no clue what I'm talking about, and you're going to see. I
don't know what you're talking about now.
I'm going to explain, but he's going to pretend he doesn't know what I'm talking about. So, Shawn Ross Sapp, I have decided to release the classified footage. I've decided to release it. And you see his face. He's playing dumb like I said he would. He's pretending he doesn't know what I'm talking about, just like as he said he would. Geez. I have some news for people. A third match exists between the Ewing Express, Shawn Ross Sapp, and Latina Heat Melissa, the current Fightful champion.
I don't have a goddamn clue.
You see what I'm talking about? I told you he was going to do this. A third match exists, and when this match occurred, Shawn Ross Sapp wanted me to declassify it. He wanted it to be locked in a vault somewhere. He wanted it to not see the light of day. I took some time to think about it.
Suck ass.
I took some time to think about it, and I decided that for the viewers of the List and Your Boy, for the Fightful Select subscribers, for the Fightful.com visitors, that I should do you the solid of revealing this match. I've decided to declassify it.
Get paid enough for this shit.
And so we are going to go off the air today with the third matchup between Shawn Ross Sapp and Melissa for the Fightful Championship. We're going off the air with this. Hopefully the sound works, Brady. Hopefully the sound works.
It worked before.
Okay, if the sound doesn't work, I will put it up on YouTube, and so you can go to youtube.com/Fightful, and you'll see the matchup. Here it is. We're ending the show. We'll see you next week, and again, go to Fightful Select for the list goes on for more topics after this. Match number 3 for the Fightful Championship, Shawn Ross Sapp, Melissa. Go to the footage, Brady.
What the fuck is that?
I can't believe you're here, Melissa! Look at this gold! I think maybe you should wear this around less. Oh my god! I mean, let's be honest, I don't want to hit a woman. I'm not afraid of losing to a girl. That's it, I'm just saying we don't have to fight.
I'm here to make this better for everyone.
My quality of life will confuse you! You need to sit down. Oh my god! I have truly been humbled, Melissa.
Subscribe to Fightful on YouTube for the latest exclusive podcasts, interviews, and news across boxing, MMA, and pro wrestling.